Hello, hello, hello. This is Els coming to you from Beamish Crafty Corner. And today I want to make another dangle. Yeah, that's right. Because like I'm on a dangle kick. I don't know. Um, so this is like one of my favorite jars. Okay. Um, it's full of spools. I love spools. I really do. I have another jar that's just really old vintage spools and like kind of like my button jar. I put the ones I like the best in there. So let's talk a little bit about some spools. So there's really big spools, okay? This one is like almost 3 inches tall, okay? And it's about an inch wide at its widest point. It's a pretty big spool. And then this one's really cute. He's really small. He's only an inch tall. And at his widest point, he's only about half an inch wide. Really cute. And then there's, these. These are the ones that you can buy at most of your craft and hobby stores. They come in 2 sizes. This one is an inch tall and it's about, give or take, about a half an inch wide. And then this one, which is slightly taller, slightly wider. It's got a bigger base to it. This one is just over 3.5 inches, 3/4 of an inch tall, wide, and just over an inch tall. Okay, so you can see when I lay them down, they're all quite different. Okay. Now, I make it a habit of painting mine. I paint some of them in advance, and then I just put them on a stick, like this, that I put a little hot glue around, and that just holds them, while they dry. And then I stick them out of a piece of foam. So, some of them I just hold right at the top. But I paint them up. Sometimes I paint them, sometimes I don't. In advance. So, I have some that are painted and some that aren't painted. And we're going to be doing some really cool, pretty dangles with these. Okay? Just some different ideas. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways of doing it that are quick and easy and just really pretty. And we're going to use up some of those little teeny strip scraps that we have. Okay? So let me get the supply list together and I'll be right back. All right. This is a fairly extensive supply list for a little thing. But you'll see, because we're going to use little parts of everything. So we're going to need some scrapbook paper. Now you can use scraps, those little strips that are left when you're done cutting other things. I'm going to be using some strips out of this Bo Bunny Harmony collection. I just like it, and I like the 6x6 pad because the images are small. And I was probably going to be using some of this Garden Dreams from Recollection. I don't care for a lot of the paper in here, but some of it is really cute. So probably going to be using some of this. There will be some minor bits of jewelry making in this, basically just hanging, using the loops to hang things. So some jewelry pliers may be necessary. This is my set from Cousin. If you are like me and you have carpal tunnel, this is an excellent set to have. The pliers are all spring aided and the handles are ergonomic. So really nice set, worth the investment. I think it's like 25 bucks or something like that. Okay, we will probably want some stones. I'm going to be using crystals primarily with this. And then let's get down to the actual, stuff we're going to need. So to do this, we're obviously going to need some thread spools. Whether they're blank or painted is entirely up to you. Remember, a good way to paint these and let them dry is chopsticks. We are going to need some jewelry chain, whatever kind you want. It's possible we may need that. We may want some charms. We're certainly going to be wanting some jump rings. These ones are fairly large. I think they're about a 14 millimeter. Some double-sided tape. Perhaps some jewelry findings if you want, just to add a little something extra. We may want to use some small tags or something, so I've got some of those in here. Definitely going to want some bling or some pearls, and we're going to be using gossamer ribbon. So let me just let me get some of this out of here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. If you don't know what gossamer ribbon is, it is this sheer, very shiny ribbon. And so I have a lot of colors of it. We're going to be using a lot of different colors. So we're going to be using that. Of course, glue. You might want some paper flowers. I think that's about it, guys. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to clear this stuff out of my way and get set up, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're all ready to go, and I have the mini chopper out because we're using small pieces of paper, so they'll fit in here. And I'm going to go ahead and measure my spool first. And it comes up at exactly 3/4 of an inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece of paper that is 3/4 of an inch, but just a hair under, literally just a hair under, okay? So let's go ahead and put this in. Let's find a 3/4 of an inch. And then just back it off a hair. Okay? Then we're going to take that piece and we're just going to test wrap it, and it fits nice. Just test wrap it around our spool, and once we've overlapped about a 1/2 inch, we'll go ahead and cut it off. All right, so now we have it just the size we want, and I'm going to be trying this Beacon 3-in-1. Now, this is the sister glue to the Bog of Eternal Stench. So I'm just going to put a little bit on here, and the reason I'm using this is because it says that it bonds to everything. So we shall see. So I'm going to go ahead and set that in the glue. And then I'm just going to very tightly wrap the paper.
Is now, yeah.
Nice. And we're going to put a little bit of glue on this end.
This is Mike with Cox Business Technical Support calling on a recorded line, and I've got your internal ticket number 274319.
And we're just going to hold that for a second. And give it a second to dry. Now, obviously, if you don't want to hold these, there's a really easy way to take care of this. And that's a rubber band. You can just put a rubber band on here and set this off to the side and let it dry. Now I'm going to go ahead and get a couple more of these spools covered, and I will be right back. Keeping in mind, some of these are different sizes, okay? You can see this one's a little bit wider than this one, so I'm going to have to hand measure each one of these pieces, but I'm going to go ahead and get these covered. So this one I've decided I'm going to add some jewelry to it. I'm going to be doing this one a little different. So the hole is pretty big on one side and kind of small on the other, so if you need to open this hole, there are many different wood files that you can use. You just come in here and just file this a little bit and just open the hole up on the inside. There we go. Just so that you're able to fish, your chain through. Okay. So I've cut a piece of chain that's about 2.5 the size length of my spool. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to very carefully, wiggling it a little bit, I'm going to drop the chain through. Okay. Now, at this point, this chain will move from side to side. So I have to figure out how to block it. And there's a couple of ways I can do that. One, I can add a ring on the end and add a bead to it or a little dangle piece to it. I can tie a piece of ribbon through one of the links of the chain, which will prevent it from going further down. I can drop some hot glue in here or some E6000. My choice, however I want to finish this up. All right, so this one's pretty simple. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to add immediately I'm going to be adding a ring to the top because I need to put some kind of a fastener on this that I can use to fasten it to a journal. So let me get a couple of rings here. All right. And this is pretty easy as far as, you know, jewelry making. We're just going to grab the ring, and we're never going to pull this way. We're not going to put the tips of our pliers in and open them. We're going to hold on to one side. There's a natural cut in it, and we're just going to twist it this way, okay? And that opens up that ring. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lock this down by adding a ring. And I'm just going to put it back together by taking my pliers and putting the two ends back together. Just going to squeeze them back together, okay? Now, that keeps my chain from coming out, and I can add a dangle to it, okay? So there, that's locked in. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. That's going to lock it in. For me, this is how it's going to work. I'm not going to use any glue or anything. So for this one, I'm going to hold it up, and I'm going to put this through the first available link that I have, and I'm going to twist the two ends back together. All right, now I've locked that chain through there. See, it's not going anywhere. And I have a link to work on both sides. So now I'm going to work on putting some bead pieces together and creating a few small dangles. Okay, so I've made some dangle pieces, and I did add one thing to our piece here. Well, two things. One, I added the clip at the top to hang it. And then second, I added a little piece of chain to the jump ring, and that is so that the dangles don't stand out, they drop down. Just had to give them that little bit of length. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be adding dangles to this chain, and to the chain down here, and also to the loop that we used, that jump ring that we used at the bottom right there to hold this all together. Okay, so we have a clip at the top and a jump ring, then about 5 lengths of chain here with a jump ring to lock it on, about 4 lengths of chain here just to be able to add dangles to so that they hang off the side. And then at the bottom we have a piece of chain coming out. We have a jump ring here to lock it in place, and then some chain to hang our dangles on. So I'm going to go ahead and get the dangles on. Pretty easy to do. You just take the dangle that you want, and what you do is fish it through a loop on the chain. And then you just take your regular pliers and you just twist it back so that it closes up. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get these done, and I'll be right back. Okay, so for this next one, I used just a regular paper clip. Yeah, just a paper clip. And I just used my wire cutters, and I cut this right here on the side where the small piece comes up. So we just put that in a wire cutter, and we just cut it off. And that leaves us that little centerpiece. And then to make this work, we use a regular pair of household pliers because we want that grip. And we just kind of push the ends together. We just kind of push it together. You start down here and just kind of pinch it, move down, and basically what we want to do is we want to make that loop smaller. And then you just take it and fish it right through, and you end up with a loop on either side. And then you just fill this up with some hot glue. So I'm going to go ahead and fill it up and let it dry, and we'll move on to the next one. Now you can use some E6000 here if you want. Entirely up to you, but do put glue on both ends. And we're going to let that set up and cure for just a few moments, and we'll move on to the next one. Hello, hello, okay. I know it's bad. All right, so we have finished up making quite a few of these. Let's take a look at some of the ideas. Now, on this one, I would use like a gourd pin or something to attach this to my journal. And basically, I just, threaded a little bit of gossamer ribbon through here and tied some beads on, at different places on there. And it's just kind of cute and fun and just makes it a little tassel. And then on this one, we used the gossamer ribbon again. And on this one, we threaded the ribbon through, made a knot, brought it back up, tied it off, used a little glue on it. And on something like this, again, you could just put this on your journal and add something to the bottom of it. Or you could hang it this way and put a pen in there and use it as a pen holder. Yeah, it works, right? So the next one we did with the ribbon was this one here, and this is the one we did with the paper clip, and all we did is just squish the paper clip and fit it in there, and then we made this little gossamer tassel on it. Very cute. Love this one. Very, very soft, very fairy, very adorable. The next one we did was this one here, and on this one we used a button to keep our thread from moving around too much, and then we just used a whole bunch of colors that we picked up from here and just made a little tassel out of them using some of that friendship beading cord. And then on this one, we went all out and we put a piece of chain through, locked it with a jump ring on both sides, and then just started adding some beading to it that we made just to kind of fill it up. And we made a beautiful little dangle using one of our spools, and that's it. Those are the 5 ideas that I have for you. There are a few others. I'll just put some pictures of them here at the end of the video. I want to thank you so much. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. Like me, ring my bell, and share me with all your friends. Bye-bye now.